Boston Bruins, proud. The Boston Bruins fans are the proudest bunch in hockey. They still talk about the big bad Bruins days like they happened yesterday and worship Bobby Orr like a god on skates. TD Garden feels like a blue-collar church where cursing is encouraged and the crowd knows exactly when to get loud. They have this weird superiority complex, like they invented hockey despite being American. Nobody questions their loyalty and they hate the Canadians with a rage passed down through generations. They love Patrice Bergeron, but Ray Bourque will always be their true love even after he won with Colorado. They hate the Leafs, and if Toronto ever beats them in a Game 7, Boston might collectively lose its mind. Bruins fans are quick to boo their own team but will fight anyone else who dares criticize them. Buffalo Sabres, patient. The Buffalo Sabres fans are the most patient sufferers in sports. They haven't made playoffs since 2011 yet, still pack the arena like contenders. KeyBank Center feels like a place where hope hibernates but wakes up fresh every October despite all evidence it should stay asleep. They have this eternal optimism like they're always one player away from success. Nobody doubts their dedication, and they have a one-sided rivalry with the Leafs who barely notice them. They love Tige Thompson, but Dominik Hasek remains their true love and goalie gold standard. They hate the Pegulas for years of mismanagement, and Brett Hull's no goal still causes spontaneous anger 2 decades later. Buffalo fans have endured so much heartbreak that suffering is basically their identity, yet they keep coming back for more. Detroit Red Wings, entitled, "The Detroit Red Wings fans are hockey royalty who've fallen on hard times." They reference the 25-year playoff streak and Russian 5 like sacred text while enduring a painful rebuild. Little Caesars Arena feels like a corporate museum to past greatness where fans are caught between nostalgia and impatience. They have this entitled energy like playoff hockey is their birthright. Nobody questions their hockey knowledge, and they look down on newer markets with barely hidden contempt. They love Dylan Larkin, but Steve Yzerman is their true love, both as former captain and current GM savior. They hate Chicago and will give you a detailed statistical lecture if you suggest the Blackhawks' 2010s teams were better than their 90s dynasty. Wings fans are hockey snobs, but they've earned that right after witnessing hockey perfection. Florida Panthers, defensive. The Florida Panthers fans are the newest members of the Taken Seriously Club. They just won their first cup in 2024 after decades as a joke franchise, and their entire identity got rewritten overnight. Amerant Bank Arena swings between bandwagon energy and diehards who suffered through empty seat years. They have this defensive attitude like they're constantly proving they belong. Nobody believed in them for years, and they especially enjoy beating Tampa now that they're the top cats in Florida. They love Barkov, but Tkachuk is their true love after bringing them the cup. They hate being reminded of past attendance issues and get extremely defensive about their rats on ice tradition. Panthers fans are the definition of better late than never, with the real test being if they stick around when the team eventually struggles again. Montreal Canadians, historic. The Montreal Canadiens fans are the most historic and dramatic bunch in hockey. They mention their 24 Stanley Cups within minutes of any conversation and act like anything less than excellence insults their heritage. The Bell Center feels like a religious experience where hockey isn't just sport but cultural identity. They have this pride like they're the guardians of real hockey. Nobody matches their passion, and they treat the Bruins rivalry like a blood feud spanning generations. They love Nick Suzuki, but Guy Lafleur will always be their true love alongside countless Habs legends. They hate the Leafs with such intensity that beating Toronto feels almost as good as winning the cup, and if a coach doesn't speak French, the city practically riots. Canadiens fans expect perfection, demand respect for tradition, and will never let you forget hockey belongs to them. Ottawa Senators, underdogs. The Ottawa Senators fans are the forgotten middle child of Canadian hockey. They're stuck in a cycle of almost being good, then tearing it down, and their identity is built on being overlooked. Canadian Tire Centre was deliberately built as far from downtown as possible just to test fan loyalty. They have this scrappy underdog energy while constantly trying to prove they belong. Nobody remembers their early 2000s dominance, and they hate how Leafs fans turn their home games into away games. They love Brady Tkachuk, but Daniel Alfredsson will always be their true love and captain gold standard. They hate former owner Eugene Melnyk with unifying passion, and if the team ever threatened relocation, the city would collectively break down. Senators fans have endured so much ownership drama and star departures that simply still existing feels like a victory. Tampa Bay Lightning, defensive. The Tampa Bay Lightning fans are the suntanned nouveau riche of hockey. They've gone from hockey doesn't belong in Florida to back-to-back cups, and their identity transformed from struggling experiment to model franchise. Amalie Arena feels like a nightclub where hockey happens to be played with a mix of diehards and people who think blue lightning on ice is a cool effect. They have this defensive energy about being called bandwagoners, even though half couldn't name 5 pre-2015 players. Nobody questions their recent success, and they've developed genuine hatred for the Panthers now that their state rivals won a cup, too. They love Stamkos, but Kucherov is their true love despite his moody pressers. They hate being reminded about that 62-win season followed by a first-round sweep, and the arena has actual Tesla coil shooting lightning which perfectly captures their flashy identity. Toronto Maple Leafs, tortured. The Toronto Maple Leafs fans are simultaneously the most loyal and tortured group in hockey. They haven't won since 1967, and their identity is this bizarre mix of superiority complex and deep-rooted fatalism. Scotiabank Arena feels corporate with suits filling the lower bowl while real fans get priced out. They have this center-of-the-universe energy like hockey revolves around them despite endless disappointment. Nobody faces more media scrutiny, and they develop complicated hate-love relationships with their own stars that flip weekly. They love Matthews, but Sundin remains their true love for sticking through tough years. They hate themselves more than any rival could, and if they lose another first round, the city enters collective depression until hope inevitably builds again. Leafs fans know more pain than joy, yet wear suffering like a badge while still believing next year will finally be different. Carolina Hurricanes, defiant. The Carolina Hurricanes fans are hockey's most surprising success story. They went from empty arenas and relocation rumors to creating the most unique atmosphere in the sport. PNC Arena feels like a college football game on ice, and their Storm Surge celebrations made home wins must-see events. They have this defiant Southern energy, proving hockey belongs below the Mason-Dixon line. Nobody expected them to create hockey traditions from scratch, and they especially love beating the Rangers, who once called them jerks. They love Sebastian Aho, but Rod Brind'Amour will always be their true love as both cup-winning captain and current coach. They hate being reminded of the empty seat years, and their parking lot tailgating puts northern teams to shame. Hurricanes fans created a hockey culture that's uniquely theirs rather than copying traditional markets, and that's made all the difference. Columbus Blue Jackets. The Columbus Blue Jackets fans are the hardest working fans in hockey. They've never had sustained success or stars who wanted to stay, and their identity is built on being perpetually overlooked. Nationwide Arena feels like a place desperate to create lasting memories beyond that one time they swept Tampa. They have this permanent chip on their shoulder, trying to prove Columbus matters in Ohio State football territory. Nobody gives them enough credit for their loyalty, and they still haven't forgiven players like Panarin and Dubois for wanting out. They love Boone Jenner, but Rick Nash remains their true love as the only star who seemed happy there. They hate being ignored nationally, and that cannon that scares first-time visitors perfectly captures their desire to make some noise. Blue Jackets fans don't ask for much except respect, and maybe someday a player who actually wants to stay in Ohio. New Jersey Devils, defensive. The New Jersey Devils fans are the most defensive people in hockey. They won 3 cups with the most boring style ever, and they're still mad you don't respect it. Prudential Center feels like a building dropped in Newark with no connection to the area, and half the crowd wears Rangers jerseys during rivalry games. They have this little brother energy, always trying to prove they belong in the New York area. Nobody remembers them when listing hockey markets, and they love Jack Hughes, but Martin Brodeur will always be their true love. They hate the Rangers with burning passion, and if you mention Sean Avery, they might throw something at you. The Rock is actually nice, but nobody visits because it's in Newark, and fans spend more time defending their existence than celebrating their considerable success. New York Islanders, scrappy. The New York Islanders fans are the scrappiest bunch in New York sports. They won 4 straight cups in the early 80s, then spent decades as a joke, and their identity is split between old-timers who saw greatness and younger fans who only knew pain until recently. UBS Arena feels like a miracle after years at Barclays where you couldn't see half the ice. They have this underdog energy, like everything's stacked against them despite playing in the biggest market. Nobody expected their recent playoff runs, and they despise the Rangers and their Manhattan elitism. They love Barzal, but Bossy will always be their true love, along with the entire dynasty team. They hate former owner Spano for nearly destroying the franchise, and UBS finally gives them a proper home after years of arena drama. Islanders fans would rather die than switch to the Rangers no matter how bad things got. New York Rangers, entitled, "The New York Rangers fans are the trust fund kids of hockey." They've only won once since 1940 despite endless money, and their identity is wrapped in Madison Square Garden mystique rather than success. MSG feels like the most important building in hockey despite not seeing a cup since 1994, and celebrities show up to be seen, not watch hockey. They have this entitlement like top free agents should sign there simply because it's New York. Nobody matches their confidence despite few banners, and they look down on Islanders and Devils fans like poor relations. They love Lundqvist, but Messier will always be their true love for delivering that one cup. They hate the Islanders, with Manhattan snobbery, and Madison Square Garden is called the world's most famous arena, which Rangers fans act like is a fair substitute for championships while still expecting one every year. Philadelphia Flyers, fearsome. The Philadelphia Flyers fans are the most fearsome creatures in hockey. They still worship the Broad Street bullies and think every problem needs more hitting and fighting. Wells Fargo Center feels like a place where opposing fans should fear for their safety, and Santa would get booed for not hustling. They have this blue-collar toughness wrapped in city-wide inferiority complex. Nobody wants to play there on the road, and they hate the Penguins for existing in the same state. They love Couturier, but Bobby Clark will always be their true love with his missing teeth and win-at-all-cost attitude. They hate Crosby more than anyone on earth, and if you wear a Penguins jersey to Philly, prepare for beer showers. Flyers fans would rather watch a losing team that hits than a winning team that doesn't show enough Philly toughness. Pittsburgh Penguins, spoiled. The Pittsburgh Penguins fans are the luckiest fan base in hockey history. They've had Lemieux and Crosby for most of the last 40 years and don't realize most teams never get even one generational talent. PPG Paints Arena feels built specifically for Crosby's prime, and the crowd expects excellence as birthright. They have this spoiled energy, like anything less than finals is failure. Nobody gets more superstar calls, and they forget they nearly relocated before the Crosby lottery saved them. They love Malkin, but Crosby will always be their true love as the perfect hockey robot captain. They hate the Flyers with sophisticated disdain rather than Philly's raw hatred, and if they ever have a real rebuild, they'll stop showing up like pre-Crosby. Penguins fans don't appreciate how good they've had it for so unbelievably long. Washington Capitals, transformed. The Washington Capitals fans are the most transformed fan base in hockey. They were irrelevant until Ovechkin showed up, and their identity is built around the Great Eight's pursuit of Gretzky's goals record. Capital One Arena feels like a government building outside, but a red-rocked party inside, and went from library to madhouse over Ovechkin's career. They have this new money energy, still amazed they finally won a cup after decades of playoff chokes. Nobody expected DC to become a hockey town, and they've developed real hatred for the Penguins. They love Backstrom, but Ovechkin will always be their one true love and savior of hockey in DC. They hate being reminded of playoff failures before 2018, and inside the arena fans scream "Red" during the anthem and chant Ovi's name like he's already president for life. Arizona Coyotes, resilient. The Arizona Coyotes fans are the most resilient bunch in sports. They've survived more relocation rumors than playoff series wins, and their identity is built on "we still exist despite everything." Mullet Arena was literally a college rink holding 4,500 people and somehow wasn't their worst home. They have this defensive energy constantly justifying hockey in the desert. Nobody expects them to last in Arizona, and they love Keller, but Shane Doan will always be their true love for sticking through every embarrassment imaginable. They hate Gary Bettman despite him being the only reason they still exist, and they haven't had a permanent home in years, with more failed arena deals than shots on goal. Coyotes fans spend more time defending their right to exist than actually enjoying hockey. Chicago Blackhawks, bandwagon. The Chicago Blackhawks fans are the most bandwagon fan base that pretends they've always been there. They couldn't give away tickets before 2009, then suddenly became the best fans in sports after 3 cups. United Center feels like a place where half the fans can't name the coach, but will tell you about high-fiving toes at a bar. They have this defensive energy about hockey knowledge that gets loud when you mention pre-Kane attendance. Nobody sang the anthem like Chicago during those cup runs, and they love Kane, but Hull remains their true love despite his problematic history. They hate being reminded of the sexual assault cover-up, and if the rebuild takes too long, watch those sellout crowds disappear. The Madhouse on Madison is a living monument to a dynasty that's fading from memory each season. Colorado Avalanche, relaxed. The Colorado Avalanche fans are the outdoor enthusiasts of hockey fandom. They won 2 cups right after moving from Quebec and added another in 2022. And their identity is this weird mix of entitlement and genuine mountain town chill. Ball Arena feels like a place where half the crowd just came from skiing, and fans know exactly when to chant "GRU" for goalies. They have this relaxed confidence, expecting to be contenders while enjoying better scenery than the rest of us. Nobody doubts their team's skill, and they've built a one-sided hatred for Detroit that Wings fans barely remember. They love McKinnon, but Sakic will always be their true love, both as captain and now as GM. They hate Minnesota with surprising passion for such laid-back people, and the arena sits a mile high, giving them the most obvious home advantage in sports. Avies fans expect championships with the casualness of people who think greatness is just their natural altitude. Dallas Stars, football-minded. The Dallas Stars fans are the most football-minded hockey fans in the league. They arrived in Texas in 1993 and won a cup within 6 years, and their identity is shaped by those late 90s defensive teams. American Airlines Center feels like a football stadium with ice and fans ring cowbells when not making football-style defense chants. They have this big Texas energy where everything must be larger and louder. Nobody expected hockey to work in football country, and they love Ben, but Modano will always be their true love for making hockey matter in Texas. They hate being dismissed as a non-traditional market, and if the team isn't hitting enough, they start checking the Cowboys' schedule. Stars fans still don't understand icing calls, but sure know when to yell, "Y'all ready for this?" after goals. Minnesota Wild, purist. The Minnesota Wild fans are hockey purists to their core. They lost the North Stars to Dallas and waited years for a new team. Xcel Energy Center feels like a high school tournament that never ends. They have this hockey was born here energy and love Kaprizov, but Koivu will always be their true love. They hate Norm Green for stealing their original team and care more about how you play than winning. Wild fans have endured 2 decades of being just good enough to break their hearts in the playoffs. Nashville Predators. Proud, the Nashville Predators fans created hockey culture from nothing. They survived relocation threats to build a unique atmosphere. Bridgestone Arena feels like a honky-tonk with ice and fans throw catfish while chanting at goalies. They have this proud Southern energy, proving non-traditional markets can work. They love Josie, but Ryan remains their true love. They hate being called just a party crowd, and Smashville games feel like concerts where hockey breaks out. Preds fans turned an unlikely market into a hockey destination. St. Louis Blues. Grateful. The St. Louis Blues fans waited 52 years for a cup. Enterprise Center carries generations of championship drought pain. They have this chip-on-shoulder energy despite finally winning. They love Tarasenko, but Brett Hull is their true love despite winning elsewhere. They hate the Kings for crushing their dreams and play Gloria after wins because players heard it in a bar. Blues fans still celebrate their 2019 cup like it happened yesterday. Winnipeg Jets. Small market. The Winnipeg Jets fans lost their team, then got another city's failure. Canada Life Centre is the NHL's smallest arena, but sounds like the loudest. They scream True North during the anthem, thanking owners who brought hockey back. They have fierce small market energy and love Scheifele, but Howard remains their true love from the original Jets. They hate Bettman for allowing their original team to leave and appreciate every game knowing what losing a team feels like. Anaheim Ducks. Casual. The Anaheim Ducks fans exist because of a Disney movie. Honda Center feels like a theme park with hockey, and crowds mix hardcore fans with families who like the Duck logo. They have casual SoCal energy where late arrivals are normal. They love Zegras, but Salan remains their true love for giving legitimacy to a cartoon team. They hate when you mention they've moved beyond their movie origins while secretly knowing that's still why half the fans show up. Calgary Flames. Passionate. The Calgary Flames fans are passionate but overlooked. They've reached finals 3 times without winning since 1989. The Saddle Dome looks like a giant saddle in a cowboy city, and the sea of red playoff atmosphere intimidates visitors. They have gritty energy matching their oil industry city. They love Eganla, but Lanny McDonald's mustache remains their true love. They hate Edmonton so intensely they celebrated the Oilers' 2023 finals loss and never recovered from their controversial 2004 Cup non-goal that definitely went in. Edmonton Oilers. Superiority complex. The Edmonton Oilers fans live between 80s glory and current McDavid hope. Rogers Place feels like a shrine connecting past and present. They have hockey superiority complex despite decades of failure between dynasties. They love Draisaitl, but McDavid is their true love sent to restore their rightful place. They hate reminders of wasting McDavid's early years and constantly compare current players to 80s legends while wondering if Vegas will ever stop ending their seasons. Los Angeles Kings. Fashionable. The Los Angeles Kings fans only appear when winning happens. They were ignored until Gretzky arrived, then won surprise cups in 2012 and 2014. Crypto.com. Arena feels like half the crowd is checking phones for better parties. They have fashionably late energy where punctuality is optional. They love Kopitar, but Quick is their true love for stealing cups nobody expected. They hate the Sharks and include actual celebrities who couldn't name most of the roster while cheering goals. San Jose Sharks. Innovative. The San Jose Sharks fans built identity around playoff disappointment. They fielded great regular season teams that choked when it mattered. The Shark Tank features players entering through a giant shark head. They have tech-savvy energy, wondering why their innovative approach never computed into championships. They love Couture, but Thornton remains their true love despite playoff disappearances. They hate Vegas for immediately achieving what they never could, and still wear teal jerseys, hoping for one more run that's never coming. Seattle Kraken. Confident. The Seattle Kraken fans paid premium for instant hockey passion. Climate Pledge Arena feels environmentally conscious, and fans created traditions overnight like throwing toy squid. They have new money confidence expecting immediate respect. They love beignets, but original team members hold special place. They hate Vegas comparisons, and if called bandwagon fans, will lecture you on Seattle's 1917 Metropolitans hockey history. Their tech wealth meets Pacific Northwest quirkiness, making hockey feel native to Seattle. Vancouver Canucks. Heartbroken. The Vancouver Canucks fans specialize in spectacular heartbreak. They've made cup finals 3 times without winning. Rogers Arena alternates between passionate hope and nervous breakdown. They have persecution complex, despite playing in paradise. They love Pettersson, but the Sadins or Linden remain their true loves for staying loyal. They hate Mark Messier for taking captaincy and money while giving nothing back. Canucks fans know extraordinary pain but return annually, believing maybe this time will be different. Vegas Golden Knights, entitled The Vegas Golden Knights fans achieved everything instantly. They reached finals in their first season and won cup within 6 years. T-Mobile Arena feels like a nightclub with hockey as entertainment featuring elaborate pre-game shows. They have entitled energy, expecting annual contention without experiencing suffering. They love Eichel, but Fleury remains their true love despite being discarded when convenient. They hate questions about their hockey knowledge, and games feel like Vegas productions with Knights fighting during intermissions. Their immediate success makes every other fan base jealously furious.